But here's my question to you as an attorney.
He's very passionate about it.
Oh, it's been my obsession for the last 4 years. But anyways. If you're engaged in 100% lawful activity, why would you be in any danger around a law enforcement officer?
Broken system, broken trust. He could get money from me. He could borrow money from me.
Like that. No, it does not work like that.
Well, I think, I mean, just being very candid, I think, the videos and some of the things that maybe we're witnessing would cause maybe one to take pause and take a look at things and just say, okay, is everything okay? My trouble, I have to take, I don't know you from before, so I don't know if you've always been an activist, always been really outspoken, and I don't blame a lot of the ways that you've handled that, in terms of that. Like, I would be very similar with a lot of my reactions to a lot of those things.
Yeah, I mean, somebody treats me like an asshole, I'm not gonna.
I'm looking at the various circumstances about, like, custody was returned. I mean, there were different things that, I can see where you're.
Yeah, and I had a CPS agent accuse me on camera of that I lost rights to my daughter, and my daughter was taken from me.
And that wasn't true.
And she also, and on video, she also threatened to remove my kids 3 times on video.
For no reason.
In retrospect, though, in the future, and I get why you always want to film and record and all of that, and I fully support. I think that's great. But one thing, for example, is I would have probably marched my happy ass right back down to CPS, turned the camera off for 5 minutes, just to try to get some answers. It could have been a total lie. It could have been whatever it is. That's the only thing where I maybe, it sort of seems like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face on that
Possibly.
one a little bit.
Possibly, and listen, that might be a fair criticism. That might be a fair criticism. And I actually think the security guards were giving me the hint, like, just keep your phone in your pocket and record it. But yeah, I don't trust that.
He did. He was just put it in your pocket.
Right. Yeah. So I mean,
that's me as an outsider looking in, not at the heat of the moment, but
yeah. And if you look at all my videos, because if you look at any videos that I have out there, I'm perfectly respectful to somebody that's respectful to me, and that's the way it should be. If somebody's going to be a jerk to me, well, I'm going to give you right back what you give to me.
Right.
And I want to say one more.
I mean, that kind of stuff, it can be exploited, and it can be it causes someone to take a pause and take a minute, and it can be off-putting until you. And I'm not saying that's fair or not fair. And again, like, you don't know.
Well, I don't think you've seen some of the other videos of the other guys that do this, because they'll go off.
Right. Well, and also, like, this is a new thing that's come up where no one's dealt with this with you before, so it's sort of like, is this a symptom of mania? Is it not?
No.
Well, listen.
And so loved ones that care about you and know, like, how you are and how you've been, and that's what I'm just.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question as an attorney. Let me ask you a question as an attorney. I plan to go out and basically like a neighborhood watch, but it's cop watching. It's, I'm making sure that nobody's rights get violated, and I'm there to film the police, the public servants. And so, but here's my question to you as an attorney.
He's very passionate about it.
Oh, it's been my obsession for the last 4 years. But anyways, if you're engaged in First Amendment protected activity of videoing or filming in public, if you're engaged in 100% lawful activity, why would you be in any danger around a law enforcement officer?
No, you wouldn't. There's only, you never know. Like,
That should be the safest place for you if you're engaged in lawful activity.
you just have to be aware of, like, you know, certain things that maybe you know, like, what if, you know, I mean, you just have to be smart about, like, what kind of officer are they going to have contact with, like, maybe an undercover officer.
Well,
And, you know,
yeah, well, no.
Stuff that, like, you can't really anticipate. And, you know, if you're really trying to do it and you're watching and you're observing and you have decent rapport with the police, and, like, maybe you know, something happens and the police are like, look, there's going to be, like, you know, I even saw, like, you turned the case away from white people. You just have to make sure you're being respectful, I think, of, like,
well, that's, yeah, that's,
you know,
that's good advice. Listen, and there's...
tell you, like, dude, you're getting, you know, this could be a safety issue, go away. Like, I mean, if you're in bomb seat or something. And then, you know, you just have to, every case is going to be different by different. From everything that I saw, you were being very respectful of what was happening, but you always just sort of have to kind of, like, listen and, you know, like, if you're getting obstructionist, you need to move on this way.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you work within that, and that's the best that you can, you know, kind of do.
And I would like to be very candid with you, is I want to see a respectful First Amendment auditing community. I want to see people, instead of going out there just saying somebody's being a pig, or, you know, you know what, I don't, that's not how I am. If you've seen any of the videos, I'm very respectful to people that are respectful to me, and that right there would go a long way to restoring what we need in the country, which is just a return to people being respectful to each other. And so, and I'll be there for that officer's safety as much as I will be for, you know, somebody that might be acting in criminal behavior. You know what I mean? I would, whoever's perpetrating the crime, that's who I'm against. Or if there's an officer out there violating somebody's rights, I'm going to call it out, and it's going to make my blood boil. And I'm sorry, but I was 17 years old. I joined the military because I thought freedom was worth dying for. And now I've got 3 kids that are going to grow up in a world, and, you know, they're not going to have a right to be secure in their house. They could have a CPS agent show up and say, drug test for everybody. I'm like, okay, so let me drug test the CPS agent. Let me drug test the judge. Let me drug test all the attorneys in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard.
It's like, oh no, it's not a big deal until it's an invasion of your privacy. And listen, anybody that's critical of me, I'm fighting for their rights just as much as I am my own.
Well, and it's hard because you have to probably, I would say, understand that sometimes people have to get through and see
He's
that.
gonna go
There's
with
many
you.
times that it's not very often, as I mentioned, CPS is someone objecting to a drug test because of the Constitution and various things. You have to understand that 99 out of 100 times, people are saying, I don't want to see a drug test.
Well, but you're an attorney, you have to know that the
Not
fourth...
because of the Constitution, but
Yeah,
because it's
but...
come back positive. So,
Right, but listen, but you're an attorney, and the Fourth Amendment states that
you have to understand that 99 out of 100 times, people are saying, I don't want to see a drug test.
well, but you're an attorney, you have to know that the
Not
Fourth...
because of the Constitution, but
Yeah,
because it's
but...
come back positive. So,
Right, but listen, but you're an attorney, and...
there's many times that it's not very often, as I mentioned, CPS is someone objecting to a drug test because of the Constitution and various things.
Yeah, but... Right, but listen, but you're an attorney, and the Fourth Amendment states that, you know, search is either good or bad, regardless of what it turns up. It doesn't change character by what it turns up. It was either good or bad at the beginning, and it... So yes, I understand when you stand up for rights, you look guilty.
I have a question.
Like, but that's why I do what I do.
But when that CPS lady came to the door, the first thing she said to Josh, she didn't even ask us our names. First off, she didn't even identify us.
She pointed directly at me and said, "You look like what
you're acting like you're on it right now." And
Right.
it was like, who are you to come up to somebody's door?
So she obviously
and say
came in
that?
with her bias. She obviously came in, and I could read you the policies and the
but
procedures
hold on,
manual
hold on.
and the investigation proceedings, and they're supposed to consider all of the family dynamics. They're supposed to consider all of that before they go jumping to a conclusion. So she wasn't open. She wasn't there to get facts. She was just there to, oh, I know that this guy looks guilty, so I'm like, that makes up for a horrible investigator. There is no worse enemy to good investigators than an investigator like her. She doesn't deserve to do her job.
Did she ask you at all about mental illness over at all, ever?
Well, I mean,
What's that? What was the question?
And I'm not saying whether or not you answered, but did she ask you about mental illness, or was it always just focused on drugs?
It was
No,
it was
it was-
focused
yeah.
on the drugs.
Yeah.
And then we all came back negative, so they had nothing. But she literally said 2 times to Josh, "Oh, you're acting like you're on it right now," and it's like,
And she threatened to take my
stop,
kids.
stop. Can you let me talk?
Go ahead.
It's just like, how can a CPS worker that's supposed to be there to help families just walk up to somebody's house and be like, "You're on drugs," and I
And
know
she
it for a
pointed
fact.
directly at me on the video. She pointed directly at me. Like, you make an accusation. You make a strong accusation like that, you better be able to back it up with evidence.
Come here, buddy.
And nothing ever happened. She never gave you any more specifics about the details or anything.
Well, I thought maybe when she was here the first time that she realized how that was going to go, but then she decided to follow me to Waterford. And that qualifies as stalking. I believe stalking in the state of Michigan, the statute says 2 or more unwanted encounters, or something like that. I can't quote the exact law, but I have looked them up.
Yeah.
So she threatens to kidnap. She threatens to take my kids. Then she stalks me, and then she gives me verbal threats. And then it also states in the law that were they threats that a reasonable person would consider their safety in danger or something to that effect. And any reasonable person would feel that way if you had gunmen showing up with her.
Did the kids ever get drug tested?
Yes. They almost put a catheter in my 3-year-old son.
What happened? So how did they end up drug testing them? Did they do the cheap thing?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there, but what I heard was that they had like the pee cup in the diaper thing. And that's absurd too. That's absurd too, because I mean, okay, I get it. Like,
But those all tests came back negative as well.
correct. Yeah, everybody came back negative. But here's the thing: obviously we're negative. But even if somebody was positive for drugs, why do you split the family apart and do all the damage first, and then go and figure it out later? That's not the way an investigation is supposed to work. And
That hepatitis is one of the weird different ones, but.
I understand, because it can be smoked and then it can be inhaled into the bloodstream, right? Okay.
Not a basis for removal of children, and they're going to get impact on the kids.
Well, but what I'm saying is, like, you go in and you cause the damage by separating the kids from the parents before you have any sort of rock solid evidence. Like, if you show up at somebody's house and you witness a kid being chained like to a post, goddamn right, you need to be there and you need to do something. You need to intervene. You got a duty to do that. But when you show up and
How long did they have them in the safety plan? And it was where were they at? Like you were at Don't Look Pond?
what, with the safety plan? Oh, they didn't do it. They didn't do a safety plan. That investigation was done within a week.
Did they make the kids leave the house at all or no?
Well, they coerced my fiance into thinking that they had to stay with her sister. And then, of course, everybody, oh, well, we're going to comply so that nothing worse happens, which that's the most, that is the most, it is so dangerous to this, it's so dangerous because then that's what everybody does, and then they comply, and then they go along with it, and that's how you lose your rights, and that's how your rights disappear forever.
So how then did they come back from the sisters and safety that's like, oh, safety plan is done, or how did that happen?
Well, I went up to the courthouse, and because I couldn't get answers. That CPS agent didn't want to talk to me either.
So
And
did you guys, now Dawn, did you move over to your sisters with the kids, or were you at home?
hold on, Dawn had to tuck out of the room for a second to take care of my son. But
Did Dawn go move over to her sister's house with the kids for that week, or did she stay with you? Like, how did that work?
no, we were told that we couldn't. She was convinced that she couldn't be around her kids until that CPS agent authorized her to.
Or whatever she wanted. So
Yeah.
then you guys were back and CPS had done nothing and the case was closed. That was back in, when was that, March, April?
That was in May. That was May 28th, and then or wait a second, I might have my dates confused. Hold on just a second, I'll get that for you. But and obviously I'm taking law classes right now. And, you know, it's just so difficult to see that this house matters a lot.
You and your sister can figure out some things. I really think, honestly,
Well, she's betrayed me, so I'm always going to have my guard up. But that's not going to affect me. Like big deal. I can get over that. I'm an adult. You know, I just have to be less naive and just have to have my guard up and keep some boundaries. But like I said, with my daughter, I have always tried to have my best daughter's interest in mind with the decisions I've had. And in my life, it was either you had one shitty decision or a shittier decision. And it's like you're going to be criticized for either decision that you make.
yeah.
And that's a horrible place to be at. So, but I am working with groups right now.
Jackson White.
Okay, thank you, babe. I'm working with groups right now on CPS. We need to actually just rewrite that entire policy and procedure manual. Like, the damage that is caused when you break a family apart like that, even for a week, for a 3-year-old, that can lead to a lifetime of mental trauma for them because they're confused and they don't know what happened. And our son was acting so different for such a long time. And he would wake up in the middle of the night going, "Mama, Mama." And I mean, it's like people need to realize how much more dangerous that is than just going through the investigation process the right way. Don't assume people are guilty until they prove themselves innocent. That's so absurd and that is so wrong. And I can't get over that fact that we live in a country where people have actually thought you have to prove yourself innocent.
Yeah.
I'm going to change. I'm going to do whatever small part I can to change that.
Were you guys allowed to even have like FaceTime contact or visits or anything?
Well, it's heartbreaking. Why do you want to FaceTime with your kids when you can't even tell them the next time you're going to see them? Have you ever gone to a store and been in a toy department when you're told that you can't be around your kids?
No.
Imagine that.
Gotcha.
That trauma, you will never see a toy department ever again, the same way ever again. And the people that have been victims to the CPS system, oh my God, those people, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. It's a hell I lived for a week. I couldn't imagine if it was permanent. And then what if you had a corrupt judge and, a CPS worker that is, bribed or doing favors for family members? Imagine the confusion you live with for the rest of your life and the guilt that you put on yourself. That is so unfair. And you have to be a serious psychopath or a serious sociopath to not have any shred of empathy for what you did to that kid and that parent. You have to be very careful if you're an investigator. You have to take that job extremely seriously. And there's just people that, my feelings got hurt, I'm going to punish you now. Like, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you to... First off, you're a human being. You're flawed just like me. You have no right to judge. So...
Well, I'm glad that at least, thank goodness, it was very easily cleared up and it didn't get worse for you with that. Because
Well, a lot of other people, that would have been enough to drive them over the edge. And it felt like people were intentionally pushing me to try to go over the edge so that then they could be correct. I would rather be incorrect on something like that and somebody not go over the edge. So I knew what the mental game was, and I wasn't gonna. I'm not gonna go there anyways. I'm not the smartest guy, and I don't have a psychology degree, but the year off in COVID was probably one of the best things to happen to me because I was able to, basically return back to, studying and just doing something positive for myself.
Now, do you have all the Zoom information and everything for the hearing next week, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're good to go. You're ready for that. You know how to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm processing a lot. If I have any follow-up questions, I'll give you guys a call back. Like I said, I'm meeting with your daughter tomorrow. So, you know, I just her well-being is healthy, but, you know, I mean, it's not like CPS. But just put eyes on her, talk to her. I'll, like, hopefully it'll be nice out. Maybe I'll walk with her outside or something and just talk to her. I fully expect, you know, she has a great relationship with you. I mean, nobody's even disputing that.
Well, if you saw the video, she came out and gave me the biggest hug in the world. You know what I mean?
So I'm going to do my best to not even have it be where she feels like some weird woman from the court is coming and, you know, just kind of talking to her and playing by ear.
Well, you seem very intelligent, very, I don't know, neutral, if you will. So I appreciate that.
That's my job, you know?
Well, I mean, you know, the funny thing, though, the family attorney that we hired to set up the limited guardianship, though, because she was talking to my my brother-in-law and telling her some very specific things, because I was trying to play out all the scenarios with her, like, this is what happens here, this is what happens here, this is what happens here, and it was information that I only shared with her, and somehow my brother-in-law knows that information. And so there's no attorney-client privilege, and then she had the audacity to say, well, I live by a code of ethics. It's like, no, you didn't. No, you don't. Like, absolutely you don't. Like, don't even go there. And I'm not saying that to bash on anybody. You know, attorneys are individuals. You're going to have your horrible ones. You're going to have the ones that are in it for the money. And then you're going to have a few that are in it for the right reasons. And you sound like one that's in it for the right reasons. And I hope I read that correctly.
I hope you did too. I like to think I am, definitely. So thank you.
And we can be allies. We can, you know, have reasonable discussions, and, you know, civil discourse is missing in the world today.
I agree. I love how you usually wrap up those conversations like that, and I do appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you. Hey, if you can check out a guy, his name is Amagansett Press. He does First Amendment audits, which is kind of some of the videos you might see me doing. He does it with his son, and he's probably the most respectful guy out there. And that's the guy that I look up to the most. And that's how that's kind of where I would plan on going. That's the vision that I have if I continue to do this. And I'd love to teach my son how to do that properly. And I think that does more for mankind than anything else in this world. And I truly believe that.
Well, I wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
And like I said, if I have any follow-up stuff, I will definitely call you and reach out. I might anyway, just because if I want to make sure I have the most accurate information. And I also really want, hopefully, it would be great if your family members, if you guys could kind of come to an agreement about this without even court, contested hearings and things being necessary.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would love for that to happen. You know, there has to be a mutual respect from everybody. Like, not one person's opinion is going to be worth more than the others. You know, and it's like, and my voice, they want to silence my voice or not accept my input. And I'm sorry, but I created her.
Yeah.
So, and then that leads to the question, okay, so then when my son goes over to your house, are you going to just one day take him to the doctors and put him on medication behind my back? Like, these are serious questions.
Well, I mean, the guardianship plan is very clear about those types of things. So, I mean, obviously...
Yeah, and isn't it funny? They're the ones in violation of the court orders.
Right. The only real X factor is the financial stability and bigger house, but even that, you have stable housing, you have your income paid for. I mean...
Well, and I didn't set up this court proceeding to, discuss, all the what ifs.
Right, yeah. She has a great relationship with you. I mean, nobody's even disputing that. The guardianship plan is very clear about those types of things. So, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and isn't it funny? They're the ones in violation of the court orders.
Right. It'd be great if your family members, if you guys could kind of come to an agreement about this without even court, contested hearings. The guardianship plan is very clear about those types of things. So, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and isn't it funny? They're the ones in violation of the court orders.
Right. She has a great relationship with you. I mean, nobody's even disputing that.
So this is the 1-star review. Amanda Mason is corrupt government official who made a career stealing children from loving parents for Oakland County in a dark child trafficking ring with co-conspirators at the 1200 building. That's the local circuit courthouse. They'd illegally prosecute people to steal their children. I got custody of Gavin Hutchinson. His birth certificate says Baby Boy Hutchinson. I now have custody of a child with a fake name because of this woman and her cronies. This is the type of attorney who turns her fellow Americans into radicals and extremists. She's a scumbag with power. If you ever hire her, only talk with her emails or in person with a third party present and a tape recorder in your pocket, because you're going to want to build evidence against her and her conspirators to protect yourselves from the twisted narrative they will try to control you with.
Times that not very often in my mansion CPS, if someone objecting to a drug test because of the Constitution and various things, you have to understand that 99 out of 100 times, people are saying, I don't want to see a drug test.
Well, but you're an attorney. You have to know that the fourth.
The Constitution,
Yeah,
because
but
come back past it. So,
right. But listen. But you're an attorney.
you have to understand that 99 out of 100 times, people are saying, I don't want to see a drug test.
Well, but you're an attorney. You have to know that the fourth.
The Constitution,
Yeah,
because
but
come back past it. So,
right. But listen. But you're an attorney.